back to the Zoom room.
That whole thing.
A little while.
I applaud your technological prowess. Like,
man, like it's not as deep as you think it is. Someone was just like, all you have to do is just copy your Google Drive folder and do da 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 da. Like, yeah. So ancient Greek, I do not speak. What? we don't speak that language right there, which is funny because you would think that I would be a little more technologically proficient with my background being in electrical engineering with a minor in computer science. There's a reason why I stopped that major.
You have found your calling, okay?
I wants to stab people, and that is it. So welcome everybody out there in Facebook land, and welcome everybody who's joined us out there in Zoom land. This is AcuPoints Black Acupuncture Meet and Greet, and I am your friendly neighborhood pin lady. And thank you for joining us today. We have the famous Deeper Genius Acupuncture in the house. Hey!
Don't make me blush. And I did.
Who's got a birthday for a few more years young coming up around the corner? Thank you, Mama Wilson, for joining us today. How you doing?
I'm doing so well. So glad to be here with everyone. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm glad it is Sunday. One more day of rest. I am reclaiming my vibe. Hey, Mama Jennifer, how you doing out there, beautiful? So occasionally I will be looking down at the phone to make sure that I pay attention to the Facebook land people. And then for the folks who are in here joining us today, if you have any problems or questions or concerns, please go ahead and put them in the chat. And towards the end of the show, you guys can jump on up here with us and ask Mama Wilson a question. All right, so Mama Wilson, how long have you been professionally stabbing folks? I got my professional stabologist shirt on today.
Oh my God, I need that in my life.
From a very dear girlfriend, Shanta Wilson Jones. I will see about her making you one.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So I've been professionally stabbing folks for about 4 years now.
Nice, nice. Where did you go to school?
So I started my acupuncture journey in Northern California at ACTCM, the American College of Traditional Chinese Medicine in San Francisco. I'm about halfway through the program. For those who may not be familiar with the acupuncture program, they're about 4 years and some change long. But halfway through the program, I couldn't take the weather in the Bay anymore. So
that's real. That's truth.
Heat and sun. So I transferred from the Bay Area to Emperor's College of Traditional Chinese Medicine in Santa Monica, right outside LA in Southern California. So that's where I graduated from.
Nice, nice. And then you've been practicing down in LA ever since?
Yes, in LA ever since.
Excellent, excellent. And what made you become a professional stabologist? What brought you to the pen side of life?
Yeah, so
I'm not sorry.
It was a calling. I feel like acupuncture chose me. I'd always been interested in holistic medicine and just really finding ways to work with our own natural resources, our body, the earth's resources, to create a healing environment, to heal ourselves. And acupuncture just was the thing that called me. It just made sense, from the herbalism to the theories to being in alignment with the seasons. I was like, this absolutely just makes sense. And then once I approached it initially from a theoretical perspective, and then I had the opportunity to study it and witness it with 2 Chinese medicine doctors in Washington, D.C. I was like, oh, I'm sold. This is it. This is helping folks. Like, I'm in. Sign me up. It's a no-brainer.
No-brainer. Do you remember your first acupuncture treatment?
My own personal receiving it? Yeah. So it was about 2 months before I started graduate school. And I had a friend of a friend. She was an acupuncturist. She was like, wait, you're going to acupuncture school? You've never had acupuncture? I was like, yes. I was like, I've seen it work. I know what happens. I've done the herbs. I'm in. I'm in. She was like, okay, I need to give you a treatment. I had a treatment. And I just remember getting off the table and feeling like I was floating on a cloud, and that I knew I'd made the right decision.
Ashe. I remember my first acupuncture treatment, like I had this bolt of realignment electricity that just ran from dew 20 down to my toes. And I don't know what that was, but I know I am definitely gonna learn. That was amazeballs. All right, that was really, really wonderful. So do you have like a favorite point or a favorite patient that you want to tell us about from your acupuncture journeys?
Yes, let's see. I have so many favorites, so many favorite points.
Right, it is hard to choose sometimes.
It's hard to choose. Okay, so I'll go with a point. Um, what's one of my favorite points? I would have to say, I would have to say Win 17.
Ooh, I do like that one. I do like
You know,
that one.
you know,
So,
I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna have to go with Lung One. Lung One's my favorite.
ooh, you know, lung one is a point that I'd like to tell people to press on, especially for people who have text neck
Mm-hmm.
and tight rhomboids. That's the space between your spine and your scapula. A lot of times we got a lot of pent up ick right there in the chest. So for those of you who are watching us, go ahead and stick your thumbs right into your chest, right under your shoulder. You can't quite see where my shoulder is. Whoops, bra strap. So it's right under the shoulder right there, just a little ways down deep into that chest muscle. There's a lot of tension that hangs out there, especially for us ladies, man. And if you rub it down into the armpit back and forth going across that muscle, I'm telling you, your neck will open up, your shoulders will open up, a lot of that posture correction that needs to happen from all of our lives spent in Zoom.
There's also some grief being held there. You know, it's the beginning point of the lung channel. Our lungs govern grief, and there's a lot of grief, whether it's ancestral grief, it's societal grief, it's your own personal grief. There's a lot of grief that's stored there, and the more grief we have, the more we tend to kind of want to lean in and be inward and lean into that Ren channel, and also we're zooming and doing all of this all day, and so this I just feel like this holds so much stress, especially now in the last few years. And I just really love being able to offer it to folks to massage that for themselves, to help release grief, to open their chest and heart, and just to release some of that literal physical tension, like you said.
Yeah, it is a big and important point, and it's particularly useful as we're dealing with COVID and the pandemic right now. And yeah, you can totally cup lung one. Emily Kwong is asking about every cup lung one. You can't see my cupping marks, but I have got star-shaped cupping marks, bright light. I have definitely got star-shaped cupping marks, and I actually enjoy quite a bit cupping the entire chest from the Ren channel over to the kidney channel, the stomach channel, and on out to the lung. I am a firm believer in cupping the chest. Be mindful of women who are lactating. We don't want to end up with a case of mastitis, so stay up in the upper parts of the chest and don't come down onto the mammary gland. But you can also cup under the armpit right here to help release a lot of the tension and different things that are going on there. Thank you for that question, Emily. That's what's up. All right. So, in talking about grief and tension and different things that we're holding, it kind of just leads us right on into today's topic, where we are discussing reclaiming your vibe and how acupuncture and traditional East Asian medicine is really kind of amazeballs for that. So, Mike Wilson, take it away.
Okay. Dr. Dandridge, first, before I go into my spiel, I just want to thank you for hosting these forums so that, we have this opportunity to connect and collaborate and communicate and just really be in fellowship. So thank you for organizing it.
Thank you. Actually, we have to take a moment out to thank Dr. Rhonda Coleman, because this is her fault. So I generally tell the story of how we got started in the acupuncture meet and greets. And it was because there was a student in one of the talks that I gave who had never, ever before seen a Black acupuncturist. She's like, I'm the only one that I've ever seen. I didn't know there was such a thing as a Black acupuncturist. And I was just like, well, yeah, we exist, right? And so in addition to these talks, we do have www.blackacupuncturist.com, where you can go and you can find Black acupuncturists all over the country. And slowly but surely across the world, we got a couple of people in the UK and Canada. I'm working on getting some from the continent and a couple of other places. Slowly but surely, we are getting there. And so Rhonda was just like, girl, just host a Zoom meeting. It's not that complicated. I'm like, yes, it is. You have to do all this planning. She's just like, you set a meeting date and you tell people that you're going to be there.
Well, I'm definitely grateful for the two of you for making this all happen.
Thank you, thank you. So Mama Rhonda has been really instrumental in making sure that I reclaim my vibe and that I keep up with my happies and my personal dopamine levels. And I know that a lot of people are super excited about learning a little bit more about how traditional East Asian medicine can help them with maintaining their own vibe and their own wellness and well-being.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, hi everyone. Hey Marcus, hey Isabel. Yes. So when Dr. Dandridge asked me to host a chat, I was like, all right, what do I want to talk about? And in my years of practice, 4 professional years of practice, and now with this last little bit of societal shift that we've been in since 2016 and into 2020, the thing that I have noticed most is that there is a specific healing imbalance and a specific healing pattern that I'm noticing across lots of populations. I see it in general across most Americans that come through my door, and I see it very specifically in folks with marginalized identities. So Black folks, Black folks who are queer, Black folks who are femme identifying, Black folks who are trans, like all once you start to pile on the marginalized identities, I'm starting to notice the ways in which stress and societal pressures informs the way people come into the room, and it informs their connection or non-connection to the self, right? Mm-hmm. So if you see me looking down, because I have all of my notes typed up here. So after years of working with people, I'd noticed a number of imbalances. And so when we're in acupuncture school, we talk a lot about liver-qi stagnation. So for my non-acupuncturists in the room, liver-qi stagnation is a diagnosis pattern that essentially kind of lumps all stress, anxiety, internal blockages into one diagnosis. Well, I have found that didn't quite explain the full picture of what I was seeing for some people. And I felt like that there was this sense of self that felt very far out for people. Mm-hmm. And what I felt like was happening was that folks were having to move through so many hurdles and hoops in society just to exist and to survive. And if they want to succeed, how exponentially much harder it was to just kind of be your full self. And I felt like that there were these consistent patterns of people feeling almost dispossessed of themselves. And it was out of a need to survive, because it's not safe to be fully who you are in a society that is often hostile to you, whether that is microaggressions or that is macroaggressions, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So these folks that I'm seeing are incredibly strong, incredibly brave, and are doing their damnedest to show up as who they are. But the thing that I was noticing when I was getting people on the table is I would notice that people would have a hard time taking a full breath, or they would have a difficult time understanding what they'd been eating for the week, or they would have a difficult time realizing when they were hungry. I'm like, how, are you hungry throughout the day? It's like, I don't really think about food. Like, I don't really think about hunger. Like, people were eating because they're like, I have to eat to survive. But there definitely seemed to be a disconnection between the body and the brain, right? So there are all these physiological functions happening, and then there's all these mental activities happening. And folks, in order to survive and in order to be successful at the top of their games, I'm talking about the people I'm talking about are in the top of their games for what they're doing, whether they're artists or directors or whatever they're doing. So there's a lot of focus in the brain and in the head to check off the to-do list, to show up at work, to get the projects done, to have all of these things in place. They are super duper succeeding, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When it comes down to personal care, it's like, I'm not really sleeping that much. I'm eating when I can. I'm eating while I'm typing my emails. Maybe not eating breakfast. I'm not eating my first meal until 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm not eating my meal until, an hour before bed. And so I felt like there were all these disruptions in their basic instincts because they were doing their best to survive. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that's what we're talking about when we're talking about scattered chi. It's a difficulty in comprehending or conceptualizing a full sense of self due to adverse circumstances of fear, fright, and trauma, which results in a myriad of challenges of how to care for oneself, how to allow oneself to be cared for, and how to be present in our bodies. Operating in survival mode, which inevitably forces our true selves to be put to the side while we try and stay afloat, right?
Yes.
So yeah, so some examples of, you know, the events and institutions that can scatter the chi, just to kind of really bring it home. We're talking about literally scattering people across continents for commerce. We are talking about forcing languages and traditions underground. We're talking about false taboos around healthy spiritual traditions. We're talking about institutionalized racism and sexism. We're talking about societal subscription to gender binaries. We're talking about violent responses to and denial of expansive sexual and gender identities. We're talking about consistently engaging with fear-mongering based content, i.e. the news, depending on what news you're watching. Or, you know, going to bed listening to murder mysteries. I see some faces happening.
All of that, and then some. You know, you got to teach people sleep hygiene. It's like, don't you know how to go to bed?
Oh man, it's no judgment. It's just observation. You know, we're talking about micro and macro aggressions in the workplace, in the world at large. We're talking about people who, during this whole pandemic, social uprising, have had to go to work every single day in a Zoom meeting and be like, "This is fine," or having to like grin and bear it when somebody makes some cringy, like, "I just want to connect to you. How are you feeling?" response as a Black person or as a whoever person in a meeting. So, you know, it's all of these things. And each time it's like, you have to take a moment to like either put yourself aside or kind of like swallow the feelings a little bit, deal with it later, whatever it is you have to do to get through the meeting, right? So all of these are happening. We're talking about boundaries. We're talking about boundaries. Either having them, not enforcing them, having them consistently crossed. These are all things that scatter chi, right? They scatter your sense of self. And I'm not saying willfully, like you're giving it up, you're laying down and taking it. But what I'm saying is these moments repetitively over and over and over again do a number on you, especially if you're not slowing down enough to say, all right, what do I need to do for myself? How do I cultivate this sense of self for myself? You know what I mean?
It's a repetitive stress injury on your soul. It is a repetitive stress injury on your soul. And so people say, I'm fine. I'm like, there is no possible way that you're fine. You are spiritually bypassing yourself. You're not fine.
Yeah. I'm like, when you come in and you can't move your neck and your shoulders are like this, and you're like, no, I don't really experience stress like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. But your body's experiencing stress, which means you're experiencing stress too. But we have been so divorced from feeling our feelings, feeling what's happening in our body, feeling what our physiological functions, because we gotta jump through the hoops to make it to the paycheck, to get the interview, to whatever it is, right?
Right. You're really choosing between a grizzly bear and a saber-toothed tiger. It's like, which one of these things are going to eat me first? Right. Yeah. And so you just keep pushing through. We were talking about that earlier with Mama Pearl Lawson down there, that people don't know how to actually feel their feelings. You don't feel it when you start to sweat. You don't feel it when you start to hyperventilate. You don't feel it when your heart starts racing. You don't feel it when your digestion shuts down. You don't feel that neuroception happening within your body at all. We are totally disconnected. Scattered.
And that is our body. We are essentially animals. That is our body doing its best to protect ourselves. We are nature, we are animals, right? So when we're talking about our nervous systems, we have our parasympathetic and we have our sympathetic, right? So our parasympathetic is when we are relaxed. Our body's like, all right, cool. We're not running from anything. Let's move blood, chi, and attention away from our muscles because we're not about to run. We're about to nourish these reproductive organs so that we can procreate. We're going to bring blood flow to the gut so you can digest your food, you can extract nutrients, and you can take a poop more than once a week. This is what's happening. So some other ways that, you know, we may experience scattered chi in our body acutely may feel like the bodily sensations you experience when you're frightened, like your hair standing on end, that tingling sensation you might get on your scalp, a sudden and brief feeling of heat rushing across your body, losing your breath, breaking into a quick sweat after being startled, fainting when startled, inability to control your bladder. Those are some of the short-term acute sensations of having your chi scatter. It's like that initial fear response when you're like, oh shit, that. It's all that you feel in your body, right? Long-term, it looks like your literal sense of self is diminished. So you have no clue about how things in your body feel, right? This is disconnect. You're like head and neck, up, up. That's all you got. Here, down here is like, all right, cool. We're moving around the world. That's what this is, right? So it's a little diminished sense of self. It's not recognizing where you're holding the tension in your body for like this or whatever is happening. It's scattered thinking. It can be disorganized thoughts, attention deficits, feeling shocked out of your body, needing to constantly be busy, being a busybody to keep yourself distracted from the fact that you're all here, you don't know what's happening down here, and you don't want to know what's happening down here, because if you do, your brain has got to do something about it. And that might be overwhelming for the brain when the brain is like, no, I got this whole to-do list over here, and it has nothing to do with checking in with the gut or checking in with how your chest feels. None of that. That's not how we survive, right? Because you're literally in survival mode.
Survival mode.
Animals, when we are constantly in a state of stress, our bodies and our brains are trying to protect itself. We're sending the signal to our brain, the whole of our body, that there is an imminent threat. There is a lion, tiger, or bear that is right there. It is going to eat us. We need to stay small. We need to stay frozen, and we need to be ready to run. And that, in turn, does not give us the space to take care of our bodies, to be into connection with it, and it does not allow us to cultivate our own spiritual essence. Like, we're draining ourselves of our essence when we're doing that constantly. All of your energetic reserves are going toward survival and not thrival. Survival and not thrival, okay?
Yes.
So what's happening on a physical level when we do that long term? We're talking about depleting our natural reserves. We're talking about the potential replication of damaged cells. When we are in survival mode, our body's not prioritizing the internal work of clearing and repairing our cells on a cellular level.
Yes.
So what happens is damaged cells that are routinely damaged, living, breathing, eating, things get routinely damaged. Breathing in, funky air from a fire, smoking a cigarette, whatever, living close to a highway, sun damage, all of these things, all these normal physiological functions cause routine cell damage, right? But when we are so scattered and so out here and in survival mode, our body doesn't prioritize checking in with those cells and getting rid of them. So then what happens is we're potentially replicating damaged DNA, damaged cells, which lead to the things like cancers, right? It leads to the cancers. We're talking about kidney functioning, depleting over time, because you've run your stress hormones, your cortisol levels through the roof. Your body thinks that's how it's supposed to operate. There's always blood sugar in your blood, so that because your body's preparing to run. So blood sugar is energy for your muscles. There's always blood sugar. Your body's not producing the correct insulin levels. Kidney failure starts to happen. We're talking about diabetes. We're talking about high cholesterol, hormone imbalances,
hypertensions, and all of that good, well, not good stuff, right? But all of that dismal metabolic syndrome stuff. And also includes things like autoimmune disorders, like where your body knows what it's supposed to be attacking and what it's not supposed to be attacking, right? So go ahead, keep going.
Yes, thank you for mentioning autoimmune disorders. I think that's a huge one. We're talking about, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the concept of epigenetics, right? So epigenetics is the concept that essentially our gene pool is like the yellow pages, right? So in the yellow, you get it's like 90s baby stuff. I don't know.
I know some of these folks in here look a little young. I don't think they know what a phone book is.
So, we have the yellow pages phone books, right? Where you have all the phone numbers for all the plumbers in the area, for whoever, right?
Mhm.
And with epigenetics, a part of turning on certain genes on and off is influenced by stress. And so being constantly in stress mode can turn on genes that we don't want to turn on. We want those genes to stay asleep forever. But when we are constantly in fight or flight mode, we might be turning on some funky genes that are in our gene pool that lead to illness, that turn on that, people are like, it runs in our family. Some of it
Or
is,
does it?
a lot of it is lifestyle. A lot of it is stress.
Mm-hmm.
Switching on.
It's being handed down genetically. It's not so much that it runs in your family, it's just that stress runs in your family. And that's what's running.
That part. And I like to remind people that your little egg self, your little follicle self was in your grandmother's uterus. That grandparent with that uterus, you were in that uterus. So the stress and lifetime of whatever your grandma was going through, you were already in that uterus and experiencing that and having your genes be influenced by that before you were even thought of. So when we're talking about scattered chi, we're talking about this chi and stress and all this being scattered across generations. So it's important that wherever we are in our blood, when we talk about breaking generational curses, that we are taking a moment to stop and breathe and also consider we're not only dealing with what has happened in our lifetime, we're also healing and dealing with what has happened in past lifetimes. It's not
generations that more down.
Very concrete. Very concrete.
It is. And so it is important to stop and reclaim your vibe. And there are a variety of healing tools out there that people can utilize. Unfortunately, particularly in disenfranchised communities and in melanated the United States, like acupuncture is just not on the list. People do not understand that acupuncture is a viable evidence-based medicine that can help you to, one, deal with the stress, two, to deal with the cleanup that's being left in the aftermath of this long-term chronic toxic stress. And then three, to help you build up healthy boundaries within your body and within your mind. So continue on for us, Mama Wilson.
Yes. So this is what I love about acupuncture. This was one of the biggest influences that got me into it. I watched what stress did to my family, to my grandparents, to my parents, to folks in my community. I grew up in the north side of St. Louis. And on top of all the social stuff, the stresses that includes, there's just day-to-day stress. And I watched what it did to people's mental, to their spiritual, and to their literal physical health. And so when I realized that acupuncture could help take some of that burden off on all the levels, social, emotional, physical, I was like, oh yeah, like this is what needs to happen. So like you said, Dr. Acupuncture is good for doing the cleanup. It's good for turning on your parasympathetic nervous system, where you are able to rest, digest, and heal on a cellular level, where you're able to breathe deeper. One of the tools that I really love to give people, and then I'm encouraging them to teach their families, their roommates, whoever, is not everybody is able to come in for acupuncture. And not everybody's like at the point where they want to come in for acupuncture. That's fine. They're like, you want to do what? You want to stick a who in me? And I'm supposed to.
Man. Iatrophobia is real. Like the fear of doctors in medicine is real. This country has got a really abysmal history in its medical records, from chattel slavery on up to current and to the current pandemic, when we have French doctors who are like, we can go experiment on the continent of Africa. You can go experiment on your own French people, please and thank you. Right. We are not your guinea pigs.
Yeah. So when I get people in the room, one of the first things I'm noticing when I'm like seeing that folks are their sense of self is real scattered and they're definitely in fight or flight mode, I like to encourage people to breathe. And that can be a really difficult thing, because being able to take a deep breath means that you feel safe in your body, and you have to overcome your brain training you to be like, nah, son, we're not safe. Like, we got to keep going. Don't take a deep breath or the threat will see you. Like, you're moving, right? So I like to encourage people. I'm going to stand up. Maybe you can see me, probably not, because I'm a shrimp. I'll get on the stool. So I like to encourage people to place one hand on the chest and one hand on the belly. And I say, just take a couple of deep breaths. Don't think about it. Just breathe how you normally breathe. And most of the time what happens is people go, and it's all up here. It's all lifting from the chest. It's all this, the stomach is sunk in, and it's all this chest breathing. The neck is tight. The veins are strained. Your shoulders are tight. That's not the deep breath you want. That's the breath that signals to your brain that there's something to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I like to tell people, try and make your hand rise. The hand that's on your belly, try and make that rise when you breathe in.
So when you're doing that, one of the things that I love to talk about is the vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve travels through your diaphragm. And so one of the ways that we keep ourselves in sympathetic activation, which is fight and freeze activation, is by these narrow, shallow breaths, these quick, rapid panting breaths. And when you're doing that deep belly breath where the belly is really expanding out and you slowly exhale, you're actually cutting on your parasympathetic nervous system simply by changing the way that you breathe, right? And so I love to tell people to just breathe. And I not today, I frequently wear a corset and I'm like, let's see who can outbreathe who when I got a tight lace corset on. I bet you. And it's sad because I actually
Yeah, I mean, most people when they come through the door or chest breathing, unless they've done conscious breath work or have a really deep cultivated meditation, most people are chest breathing, and that's just because we're fucking stressed out, right? So I like to tell people, make that belly expand. If that's too difficult, the prompt that you can try for yourself or send for your loved ones is, I like to tell people to focus on that exhale. So on and on and on until you are blue in the face, you can't push it out anymore. And then you naturally have no choice but to allow that diaphragm and your lungs to expand and make space for air. That also is a trick for your brain. It gives your brain something to do. It's like, okay, brain, you want something to do, push out all the air out the lungs.
That part, right?
If you make the sound audible, it also gives your brain something to do. Your brain is listening to you breathe, so your brain's occupied. Give your brain a task, it'll go a very long way.
Mm-hmm. So breathing with a hissing sound or breathing with a humming sound, anything to help distract the fact that you need to make this really long exhalation will help to trick your brain into taking a longer exhalation, which again activates that rest and digest, whether your brain wants to activate it or not.
Exactly. There are ways we can move around our big old shiny brains. Okay. So that's one of it. Talking about sound, right? Sound healing, I think, is a really important thing. I like to play music during my sessions. Sometimes I've had, during group sessions, I've had a sound healer come in and play sound bowls.
Yeah.
The vibration.
I used to do that with my slow down Sundays. I always made sure that we had live music for every slow down Sunday class. We had guitars, we had singing bowls, we had sound therapists, and at the end we had drummers. And let me tell you, that was the best. Like drummers who brought in percussion instrument. There's a lot that happens when you start drumming. It helps the body to integrate trauma, and it helps to integrate left, right hemispheres of the brain. So drumming is a wonderful way of getting the body to come back in. And then it's something that you're making, right? Having something that you're making absolutely helps to train the brain into being into a state of stillness.
I love that you brought in drummers. That is fantastic. And
it was awesome.
Speak to ancestral traditions as well. It's like we can experience all sorts of different cross cultures, disciplines, but it's also, there's an added layer of value when you are tapping into your own spiritual and ancestral lineages, right?
Yes.
So, fantastic. So healing sounds, singing bowls, crystal bowls, guitars, drums, all of these help, whether you're experiencing it from someone else playing it or you're engaging in it with yourself. Rhythmic movements, all of these help to kind of cultivate and bring in your chi. Other things I like to consider that are specific to acupuncture theory. This channel across the midline of your body, all the way down, is called the Ren channel. It's one of the first channels of energy that's developed while you're a little tiny fetus. And this channel helps to nourish yourself. It helps to nourish your sense of self in the world, your place of self in the world. And if you think about it, you know how when babies are first born, they're like, oh, you want to do skin to skin? That's Ren to Ren. That's heart to heart. People talking about having a heart to heart. That's heart to heart. That's why when we talk about good hugs versus bad hugs, right? So somebody who's a bad hugger is like this, like that to you, right? It's like the butt is poked out, like it's like minimal contact, right? A good hug is just, obviously with consent and with people you feel safe with, right? So a good hug is heart to heart, is chest to chest, is sternum to sternum. This is Ren channel to Ren channel. That's a huge exchange of comfort, energy, safety, and cultivation of self. So hug on somebody you love today. And a little bit of a longer hug floods you with all the feel good hormones and dopamine and all of that that you need to be like, yeah, like this is cool, right?
Cool.
So Ren channel, right? So that's one thing. Another thing I like to tell people is putting your feet on the earth, grass, sand, water. That helps to draw in your energy. It helps to nourish you from the foot, from the bottom of your foot. You are being nourished from the earth. You are standing barefoot in the earth and taking a breath and taking a pause. And that helps to cultivate your chi. That helps to release negative energy and tension back into the earth to be composted for some useful thing. And you, in return, you're also essentially being charged up by the earth through your feet.
And that is true. Like there's a lot of evidence and studies that they've done where touching your feet to bare earth actually helps an electron flow to happen between your body and the earth itself. So basically putting your feet in the dirt is a really great antioxidant and helps you to feel better. Whether it's your feet in the dirt or your hands in some dirt because you want to do some gardening or getting out into natural water, but being able to touch the earth, which is something that we don't do because we wear shoes, right? We wear shoes all the time. A lot of us live in concrete jungles, i.e. cities, right? Yeah. Never have reason to put our bare feet on the earth outside. And so in my household, I have to tell you that we got some rough heels because we are always outside. So, I might be the queen of pretty, but let me tell you, I worked that pumice stone.
You know?
Self-care is important, and I'm going to put my feet on the earth. So whenever you have a chance, I know it's starting to get cold, and in certain places we've got snow on the ground and 30-degree weather, but when you have an opportunity, even if it's just a house plant, putting your hands in the dirt of a house plant and reconnecting with the earth actually literally helps to move electrons around in your body.
Mm-hmm. Or if you have, stones, crystals, things like that in your house, holding on to that, patting your hands into that stone. Yeah, see, there you go. That also helps. That's also a piece of the earth that you get to help ground in. If it's dead winter where you are, it's not a good idea to head out barefoot, all right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so there are other ways that we think about consolidating and cultivating our chi. So like, what does it look like to experience cultivating our chi and to feel consolidated in our chi? We have this space to consider and act on what truly feeds us, what motivates us and drives us. We're essentially leading with the authentic self. And it's not a perfect journey. And some days are better than others, and some seasons are better than others. But overall, we are essentially being led and being fed by the authentic self, and we're feeding the authentic self. We have the space to consider what our basic physiological needs are. We feel comfortable leaning into rest and saying, you know what? I ain't got it for y'all today. And I need to turn the phone off. I'm cutting off the work emails at 5 p.m. I will holler at y'all at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Like whatever it is, you feel safe and comfortable in doing what you need to do for your mental health and for your authentic self to move forward. And like I said, it's not perfect. And sometimes some seasons are better than others, but that is evidence of feeling like your chi is consolidated, and and understand and feel in your body. You feel intuitively, you feel in your gut what needs to happen for you, and when you need to do or not do a thing, right?
You cannot pour from an empty cup. You've got to fill yours up first. Put on your own airplane mask and oxygen mask before you have to put on somebody else's.
That part.
And Ashe, yes. So self-care rituals are really imperative for helping with scattered chi and making them a part of your daily life, the same way that we make teeth brushing a part of our daily life. We make hair maintenance a part of our daily life, and flossing our teeth and all those kinds of things. Putting on makeup, getting dressed, taking a shower, and putting on deodorant. These are things that we need to do so that we can be presentable and functional in the world, and that we are not affected by, immediate disease. I tell you, tooth pain is the worst pain. Lord have mercy. I ain't trying to do no more tooth pain. right? But spiritual pain is also one of the worst pains, because if you are not consolidating that chi, if you're not filling up that cup, then there is a lot of pain. There are a couple of quick questions coming in. I had to tell somebody to hold on a second because she was running them out real fast. I was like, wait, we're in the middle of the presentation.
Okay.
Right, we got a couple of them. First, happy solar return, as it is my upcoming birthday. Thank you for joining us. All right. And then she says, what was your experience like at Emperor's College?
My experience at Emperor's was great. I mean, it helps to be really close to the ocean. You know, you can walk to the ocean and go steady. But it was fantastic. I had really supportive leadership in the academic realm. I met some phenomenal colleagues. I had some incredible opportunities to have externships and internships in some really amazing places, and I highly recommend it. Top-notch education.
Excellent. All right. And then I see another question coming in, but I'm just going to finish this one other one over here on Facebook. It says, what are both of our opinions about combined master doctor acupuncture programs? I have mixed opinions on those personally. Like, we learn so much from a good master's degree program that the reason why there's something called a transitional doctorate is because our master's degree program is so thick and so credit heavy. You have to learn so much that you're this close to having enough credits to call yourself doctor. I think that it's awesome and amazing if you have the chi to survive for 6 years or however long it takes you to get through all of that. And I think it's just fine to practice with just your master's degree. And that I have grave concerns about the way that our profession is being pushed towards calling themselves Dr. anything. How about you, Mama Wilson?
You know, in terms of the combined program, I personally, I didn't have the desire or the stamina to tack on another 2 years or so, even 18 months to the program, because it is so dense, it is so heavy. I spent the second half of my 20s in graduate school year-round full-time. And I just felt like I didn't really have the chi or the desire to want to continue in the program. But I mean, I think it's great if you have that kind of interest. I've considered going back to the doctorate, and I've had some of my older mentors and some of my former deans are like, you should do it, you should do it. And I was like, maybe one day. I'm still recovering from the master's program that I finished 4 years ago. I'll get back to you.
That's facts, right? So let's talk, getting back to the topic of reclaiming your chi and chi and reclaiming your vibe. And Pearl Lawson asks us, how do you advise an empath to quickly get grounded? I have I say different strokes for different folks. Like, what works for you versus what something has happened, what may or may not work for other people. Me personally, I like to combine breathing and touching the vagus nerve in the ear to quickly bring that energy down, as well as being outside in some sunshine or some moonshine, as the case might happen to be, as we're about to have a full moon here. I do like working with stones. This is why I included them with all of my Slow Down Sunday routines, and sometimes like a hot cup of tea or a hug. One of my other newfound favorite things is facial gua sha. The face is such an intimate place, and taking a gua sha stone and gently rubbing some love into your face and across all these points that almost never gets touched unless you're a makeup wearer like me. How about you, Mama Wilson?
All of those things, and I will add on having a practice of saying mine, not mine.
Oh, yes.
It is not your energy. Doing a quick check-in. If you are a hardcore empath, I think by now you probably have an understanding of when something is your energy and when something is somebody else's. And so as an empath, it's going to be your responsibility to be like, it's mine, it's not mine. You're going to have to let it go, or you're going to have to hold on to it. So that would be my piece of advice.
I think that's a really good one, especially for empathic people. It is important to say, not my monkeys, not my circus. It is really easy to take on a lot of other people's energetic stuff. I also like to wear stones, to be able to quickly grab a stone to have something to focus on and to breathe with is really useful. There is another question coming in. What readings or starting paths do you recommend for someone in the early stages of acupuncture and Eastern wellness? I think that depends on what do you want to do with your degree? Like this medicine is thousands of years old, and you will find that your interest will change over the course of your practice. When I first started, I didn't want to hear nothing about no 5E. I didn't want to hear nothing about no cosmetic acupuncture. I wasn't down for none of that flu stuff. I'm here for medicine. I want to heal diabetes, and I want to fix pain, and I want to fix the GI problems. I wanted some real medicine. Yeah. I've been doing it for 12 years, and it's just like, ooh, a girl got wrinkles.
It's a little cosmetic, a little nip.
Where's my facial roller at? Hold up a minute. What microneedling class? When is it? let me find out. And then I found that there were things that I was turning my nose up at simply because I didn't understand that this is a part of the medicine for a reason. This is a well-rounded medicine because there are so many different ways to treat the body. You can treat a lot of stress by rubbing on the face. I nearly made myself pass out from doing a gua sha class with, oh gosh, I forgot her name. I'm gonna come up with the name in a minute. I was doing a gua sha class with someone, and at the end of the class, like 30 minutes of gua sha, I'm like, oh my God, where's my pillow? Why am I so tired? Right? And it was very soothing and very relaxing. And it's very easy to tell my clients to go do this, but it's a good reminder when I'm doing these things for myself. I turned my nose up at 5E, but now that I'm studying trauma and I'm studying
5 elements for folks.
5-element acupuncture, which is a different style of acupuncture. I turned my nose up at it for the longest time. But now that I want to deal with things like anxiety and stress and trauma and all these different things, it's useful to have a better understanding of it. So what I would really say is to find a university that has a well-rounded program and not one that is heavily oriented in one place the other, so that when you get out and you want to have these other conversations and these other places of study, that you have some place to begin. If I had went to some place like Taya Sophia or MUIH that's only 5E, I wouldn't have had enough of the background to be able to comfortably swing into some of these other topics, whether we're talking about scalp acupuncture, neuroacupuncture, cosmetic acupuncture, and Korean acupuncture and Japanese acupuncture. Yeah. The list is deep. It's deep. There's a lot of different styles of acupuncture. There are people who focus strictly on the eyes. That's what they do. They fix eyeballs. They stick needles in your eye. I'm not going to do that, but that is what they do. And they have a very deep understanding of the Western sciences. And if you're not getting that from your school, then you're leaving yourself at a disadvantage down the road. So what would I recommend? I would recommend eat all of it. Make yourself a full plate. All right. More questions. Yeah.
I think Karima has been waiting a second to.
Oh, come on, Karima. I didn't even see the hand. I'm reading all the chats. Up here, Mama Karima.
Totally fine. So my question is, I always hear people talking about their patients that store stress in their shoulders or storing stress in their neck or even like in the pecs. But what about like the face and like the temporalis? Like I just was in techniques class recently and I literally couldn't even keep the needles in because it hurt so much. And I was trying to figure out, why is that? Like, was it because, am I storing stress like in my face, like my masseter and my temporalis? I don't know. Like, do you guys have experience with that with your patients, like storing stress in the face?
Definitely.
This is why I'm suddenly into cosmetic acupuncture.
Okay.
Definitely. I mean, people like holding your face like this, furrowing your brow a lot of times. So people are holding stress here between the brows. That's an energetic block. Holding stress right here, and then temporalis, which sometimes is an extension of just like neck and shoulder stress that's come across the top of the skull. People pursing the lips, and like, yes, we're definitely holding stress in our faces for sure. Having eye tension, you're a student, so you are like this in the books and settings, so you're definitely going to have more temporalis pain on top of whatever stress you might have going on from going through the program, Right. So yes, storing stress in the face is a real thing, and like Dr. Dandridge said, gua sha, facial massage, using your roller. These are all things that they're cute. They have cosmetic advantages, but they also help to relieve some of the tension as well. So you're doing dual duty.
Definitely. And then in addition that, we have to remember, particularly as acupuncture, sometimes you cannot go directly at the problem. Sometimes you have to come at it from the periphery,
Yeah.
which is why we're able to use the points around the fingers and the toes to drain energy out of a place so that you can get back into it. And sometimes that does mean using your hands or using a gua sha tool or, the facial roller. Sorry, I have so much stuff on my desk, using a facial roller so that you can just rub some of that out so that the muscle can become soft enough to be able to take a needle. This is why you're able to do things like eat on the face, or even more importantly, in studying trauma and anxiety and stress and depression and all of these things, I didn't think much about like that whole host of points that we have in the gallbladder channel around our ears. All of these points unlock what's happening lower down in the face, because that's what's attached to it. And the same thing for the gallbladder points that are up around the top of the head. It turns out that there's cerebral mapping that goes along with those points. And so if you can't get to it directly and you can't massage it yourself directly, remember that you got the points in the hands, the fingers, and all those gallbladder channels or gallbladder points all the way around your head, gallbladder 13, gallbladder 8, gallbladder 9. All of these points are really useful for helping out with that facial tension. And then like people crack teeth from stress. I cracked teeth from TMJ I couldn't even acknowledge that I had. And that was like, oh my God, like 8 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I didn't even know that I was so much until I heard it was like, gunk. Like, what the hell was that? In the middle of my sleep. So that is a thing, and being able to help people and to give them tools to be able to help them to relax and not suffer through that. That is, yes, it was Emily Grace. Thank you, Fung. Oh man, my transmission was really bad. I was doing a gua sha class with Emily Grace Acupuncture the other day, and I had to go take a 1-hour nap afterwards. I felt like I was drunk. From simply using a gua sha tool across my face. So these are benefits that we can give on to our clients. And don't be like me. I had really strong opinions during the first half of, sorry, lots of lights just went down the street. Don't be like me. Don't turn your nose up at everything like I did in the first half of my practice. I realized that there are things that have benefit. And if it's been around for thousands of years, there's some benefit to it. All right, that was awesome. Are there more questions? Oh, wait, let's see. I've been to 5 schools and I'm still looking for my perfect fit, including MUIH and now PCHS. Yeah, and I know I need Black acupuncturists in my life. And so, there was a job survey, the 2017 NCCOM job survey, where the African-American demographics of acupuncture went from like 1.2% to like 0.8%. Like there are not a lot of us, and there needs to be more of us. And so I'm always really appreciative of all the students that are out there that are braving this field. And I'm gonna, tell you that unfortunately, this education comes with a healthy dose of racial battle fatigue. You're gonna be surrounded by white people who don't have a lot of in the terms of racial literacy, and you may find 1 or 3 good friends or allies or something, but like expect it. And I don't say that to discourage you. I say that to get you ready to ground your chi and to have your and to dig some deep roots and find other wells, because it's not going to come from school.
I would have to encourage that person as well. I think sometimes we think that healing and wellness will be divorced from all the other things that we deal with in society, and it won't be. And sometimes it will be so convoluted and a little bit worse. Sometimes they're like, wait, I thought we were supposed to be healers and all that. It's like, no, there will be some shady business happening. Racism exists everywhere. Sexism exists everywhere. You will deal with the problems that you deal with in a corporate room. You will deal with at an institution for acupuncture or whatever is happening. So, I mean, we're not immune to the BS. But yeah, persevere, prepare, cultivate your chi, find your tribe. That might be like Dr. Danger said, 1 or 3 people. It might not be anybody for a little while during the program, but stay steadfast to your program, your purpose, and find other ways to cultivate community and keep you grounded, even if that has to be outside of the program.
Yeah, I want you to be an acupuncturist with us, Mama Rachel. You know, I really, I encourage all brown people to come to the stab side. Come to the stab. Proof that stabbing people really will make it better is right here. It's proof in the pudding. But like the surveys where we find that medical racism still exists, where we find that doctors still think that people of color have thicker skin, feel less pain, where we know that the racism exists in our neonatal units and that infants that are cared for by brown people simply do better. Like medical racism and medical apartheid is a thing. And it's a hard thing to ask somebody to shore themselves up to be able to go deal with it. But know that while you're there, you're gaining the tools to not only reclaim your vibe, but to help others reclaim their vibe and to be a part of the solution that is our racial health disparities gap and our you know, and it's not just, you know, it's not just race, because when we're talking about the LGBTQ community, we know that the constant discrimination that they are facing also negatively impacts their health for, you know, over the long term. So know that you're walking away with the tools, and walk away with all of them. And I will say, please visit your local rage room and break some shit.
Yes. Stay the course. I say stay the course, no matter, you know, what social things you might be encountering in the school, and know that you have, you know, circles where you can lean into, you can ask for advice. And like Dr. Danger said, you're there to get those tools and to take those tools and help the folks that need it. Every hiccup, hurdle I've been through school or through getting my business going or dealing with racist bank discrimination while I'm getting my business off the ground, whatever it has been, it always, and this ongoing challenges, it has still, in my opinion, it has been worth the ability to help the people that I'm helping be like, I feel so much better. I feel so much like myself. I'm slowing down. I'm teaching, you know, my mom or my grandmom how to change their relationship to this, that, and that. It's completely worth it.
It is. It is completely and totally worth it. So don't give up. Be prepared for all the things, and have your self-care Sunday routine in place. That is how Self-Care Sunday came about for me. People are like, well, how do you rejuvenate? It's like, I have a cup of tea, I get my little ear needles in, I sit in front of my prayer space. Me and the universe have this little conversation. I lay it all out on the table. I have my stones nearby. I do my Tai Chi afterwards. And after that, I feel like I can go back and deal with a little bit more. And you're going to need those tools, not just for school, but also for life in general. I'm sorry, I have things coming through. All right. So any more tips and tricks for reclaiming your vibe besides, you know, we talked about getting in here into lung 1, which is this point up here on your chest. It is really advantageous to have that point as a part of your life right now, particularly in terms of COVID and helping us to deal with the grief and helping us deal with the strain. I call it text neck, but it's this, right? Where you're like this, or you're driving like this, or you're, you know, all day long of being down, and these muscles get nice and short, and you need to be able to reclaim your breath, right? I am breathing here. That is a really useful one. You said RIN 17 and you take it back, but I'm going to bring it back up. RIN 17 is right in the middle of your chest. And I tell you that a lot of people do not want their breastbone touched. There's a lot of tenderness there, right? Go ahead and rub the center of your chest. You can pound on the center of your chest. I don't have one close to me that I can grab, but if you have a smooth stone, you can heat it up and rub it up and down the center of your chest and all around your breastbone in order to elicit some wellness. Everything doesn't always have to be at the hands of your local stabologist like Madison or myself. Are there more questions from out there in Facebook land or from any of our beautiful guests that are joining us here today on Zoom land? I know Marcus got one. I'm just call him out. I can't see anybody else, so. No?
Marcus is my fellow Bison. We were incoming freshmen together at Howard.
Okay. I was yeah. And Dominion will be changed to change the Black nations. All right. I don't know what Mama Papa Fung. I'm sorry, I need a face. I don't have pronouns. read the last sentence when I can for more tea. So I'm going to go on over there. And it says, long awaited, he will appear in Asia, one issued from great Hermes. He will rule over the kings of the East. Saturn again late will come back, and dominion will be changed to the Black nations. Love. From your lips to goddess's ears, please. We do need a change in venue up in here. All right, so a little housekeeping before we disappear. I would like to remind everybody about blackacupuncturist.com. Please swing on over there, and any Spelman or Morehouse acupuncturist, I only know of one Morehouse man in the field. You know, Rachel, it's kind of hard to know where people come from unless they come onto the show and they tell us. And I have to say that I have met so many acupuncturists this year that I can't keep them straight. Do you know of any Morehouse or Spelman folks, Mama Wilson?
No, not that immediately come to mind.
Yeah, I don't, you know, I can call out one from Howard, and that would be Dr. Sophia Carter. McCarter? Oh, that's terrible. I don't know her last name. Y'all gotta work with me. Girl.
I know there's someone else who's coming out of Howard or has come out of, I think she's studying they're studying right now. I think they are Howard alumnus, but I'm also blanking on their name.
Sorry, Mama Rachel.
Sorry.
So I was going to say, head on over to blackacupuncturist.com where you will find melanin tape, the melanin collection, which is a brown tape ear seed. And this is cool and interesting because most of our ear seeds for the last 50 years that we've been in this country have all been this god-awful tan color that doesn't match anybody's skin tone. Nobody's whatsoever.
Yeah, nobody.
They're so ugly, right? But if you go over to the blackacupuncturist.com, one of these days I'll have the smaller packs out available. It comes with a little insert so that you can learn how to do your own ear seeding for yourself, and ear seeds are one of many ways to help reclaim your vibes. You can also head over to my website, everyonesplace.com. I am a small business. Feel free to stop by my store. That's everyone's-place.com, and get your set of Rockstar cupping. My cups are underneath my computer here. I won't bring them up. And in addition to Rockstar cups, I also have gua sha tools that are beautiful, not just rose and jade. I got some gorgeous stuff up in there because I am the queen of pretty with my rough feet. In addition to things like gua sha tools, you will find Swarovski crystal 24 karat plated magnetic ear seeds so that once again, you can get your wellness on. And again, those come with a little insert so that you can figure out how to get your wellness on. And that is what wait, can I get it in there? That's what they look like. Because yes, I do get high off my own supply. Yes, I do. No shame in my game. There are a variety of different tools for wellness that you can get for yourself in this holiday season or for other people so that you can begin to reclaim your own vibe. What was that site again? My site is here. I'll type it in. The name of my business is Everyone's Place. As I was telling Mama Wilson, like, don't judge me. I do have a doctorate, but I can't type to save my life.
You can't be you finger pecking. It's okay.
I got my papers written. Oh, wait, sorry. I sent that as a private message. Let me fix that to everyone in the meeting. There we go. And Dr. D got my ear seeds last week. Yes, I am really glad that people are loving the tone. People are loving the star cups, and people are loving the crystal ear seeds, and people really enjoy having brown tape ear seeds because unlike most ear seeds like that almost blends completely in. Like in my ear, you would almost not see that whatsoever. And if you're not quite this dark, and I ain't dark, but even the lighter ones nearly blend in so that when you're sitting in the ear, you don't feel like you got these little ugly bandage things. And if you are the queen of pretty as I am, and you just need some bling bling in your ears, I have that for you over on everyonesplace.com. And in addition, I have star cups. I'm sure you guys have seen the pictures. I'm not gonna show you my back fat on camera right now, but my 10-year-old is amazing cupper. He did a great job with cupping me, and that's one of the ways that I reclaim my vibe, because cupping and gua sha and moxa are one of the many ways that you can go about helping to treat trauma, PTSD, anxiety, depression, and lethargy and apathy, right? There are so many tools that are available to us. All right, let's see. I don't see any more questions. Emily says she loves her star cups. Y'all, they are so cute.
Yay.
Because Emily's over there talking about them. Watch this. Y'all see my kitchen back there? Woo! All right, if you go online to everyonesplace.com, you will find Rockstar Cupping. It comes in a box very much like this, and on the inside, hopefully these aren't disturbed, you will find your very own kit of Rockstar cups, and they leave this really cool star-shaped cupping mark behind instead of having that octopus icky. Which are also good for students or for people to be able to use at home, right? So please support small businesses like Mama Portia, who is of Deeper Genius Acupuncture on Instagram. Follow her on Facebook. Yes, the stars are really wonderful, Isabella. I hope that you have yours. And any more shout outs that we need to give Mama Portia Wilson? No? Portia?
Oh, me. You can follow me at deepergenius.acupuncture. If you want to email me, you can email me at portia@deepergenius.com, portia@deepergenius.com. I do have a new podcast coming out in January, so please stay tuned for that. You can get updates on Instagram.
Excellent. All right, Mama Wilson, if you can just please hang out, all you out there in Zoom land, thank you so very much for joining us. There will not be an AcuPoints next Sunday, but on Saturday, there is Race and Acupuncture, where Dr. Tyler Fan and I are going to be sitting down and having a conversation about race and acupuncture in the United States. So next Saturday, if you go to Eventbrite, it is a donation-based ticket to help support the Black Acupuncture Association. If you will join us next Saturday. Now I need the boss to tell me what it is that I'm doing. If you guys will join us next Saturday with Tyler Fan, the tickets are on Eventbrite. It's Race and Acupuncture. And I would love to have you guys all out there. It's going to be a very in-depth and insightful conversation. So we won't be here next Sunday, but the Sunday after that, we will be here with George Xavier Love from down in Florida. All right, y'all, you guys be wonderful. Thank you for joining us out there in Facebook land. And I'll see you guys next Saturday for Race and Acupuncture. Mama Wilson, hold on. Hey, Mama Lawson, I'm glad you made it. Uh-oh.
Hi.